So I started taking Tongkat about 7 years ago in an attempt to help me naturally recover from PED use that I had quit a few years prior. Now, it had been around 3 years since I had stopped using PEDs, and I felt like I was still experiencing some of the side effects that were associated with being on PEDs and then coming off of them. And at the time, Tongkat appeared to be a fairly promising supplement to help recover testicular function and testosterone production. Now, since then, it has become enormously popular with guys that are trying to increase and optimize their natural testosterone production. However, it's been about 2 years since I've taken it. And so in this video, what I want to do is outline some of the reasoning as to why I quit taking Tongkat. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the first and primary reason that I stopped taking Tongkat is because of all these side effects that I started to experience. Now, in the beginning stages, there were only benefits to taking Tongkat, benefits to mood and energy levels, as well as stress levels and libido. And at the time, I wasn't really in the habit of getting my testosterone tested, which I really regret because I don't really know if Tongkat had an appreciable effect on my testosterone levels. However, the longer and longer I started to take Tongkat, the more and more side effects I started to experience. And the first one that I started to experience was irritability. Now, this one is fairly surprising to me because of how much Tongkat seemed to improve my mood in the beginning stages of taking it. However, the longer I started taking it, and presumably the healthier I was getting, the less it seemed to improve my mood, and on the contrary, eventually started to kind of lead to irritability and somewhat of a short temper. Now, because Tongkat can lead to irritability in some individuals, a lot of people like to assume that this is because Tongkat is increasing testosterone. However, I don't believe this to be the case. I believe it has more to do with possibly the effects that Tongkat has on blood sugar as well as various neurotransmitter levels. Now, there is some research to suggest that Tongkat does affect blood sugar and specifically lowers blood sugar, which in a lot of individuals might be a good thing, but in particular for guys that already have a good blood sugar level, dropping your blood sugar levels when you already have healthy blood sugar levels can lead to irritability. And you see this a lot in diabetics that have low blood sugar. They get very irritable, very short-tempered. And so this is one of the possible reasons as to why Tongkat might actually cause irritability. Now, when it comes to my specific situation, when I started taking Tongkat, my diet was a whole lot less dialed in, and my exercise regimen was a whole lot less dialed in as well. And so as those things began to improve over the years, it's possible that my blood sugar started to get to a healthier place, and that adding the Tongkat on top of an improved diet and an improved exercise regimen might actually have began to drop my blood sugar too low throughout the day and cause that irritability that Tongkat can cause in some individuals. Now, according to a genetic test that I recently got back, I do appear to be fairly susceptible to blood sugar dysregulation from a genetic standpoint, and so it's entirely possible that I was specifically experiencing this irritability because of this blood sugar dysregulation that Tongkat was kind of exacerbating. And now, even though it's entirely possible that I was experiencing the irritability because of blood sugar dysregulation, I'm actually more of the opinion that I was experiencing the irritability because of the effects of Tongkat on various neurotransmitter pathways, specifically dopamine. Now, again, according to that recent genetic test, I am also coincidentally susceptible to fluctuations in dopamine levels. I am a low metabolizer of dopamine according to the COMT gene, and because of this, I'm also highly susceptible to compounds and very sensitive to compounds that increase dopamine because I can't metabolize the dopamine that is increased in the central nervous system. Now, because dopamine in consistently high levels can cause irritability in some individuals, I'm personally of the opinion that because Tongkat was increasing dopamine and that I was personally not able to properly metabolize that dopamine, that it was subsequently leading to an irritability because of just simply increased dopamine levels. Now, in a lot of individuals that have normal dopamine metabolism function, according to their specific COMT gene, taking things that increase dopamine a lot of times doesn't have a negative effect, and a lot of times actually has a positive effect on mood and a positive effect on motivation. However, again, for individuals like myself that can't properly metabolize dopamine and are particularly sensitive to compounds that do increase it, there is a large chance of irritability that I believe was largely attributed to this specific fact. Now, if you guys are anything like me, you're always looking for ways to sneak in some more protein into your diet, which is why I am super excited to announce that today's video is sponsored by Magic Spoon, which is essentially the golden unicorn of cereal. And this is because Magic Spoon is grain-free, has 0 sugars, is keto-friendly, has no artificial ingredients, and is also extremely high in protein. But what makes Magic Spoon the real golden unicorn is how good it tastes, and I actually mean this. It tastes so good, in fact, that it's now my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old's favorite cereal. Now, they're a little bit more partial to the fruity flavor, whereas I'm more partial to the peanut butter, and my wife's more partial to the chocolate. But that's why their variety pack is so popular. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their products that it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like their amazing products for any reason whatsoever, they'll actually refund your money, no questions asked. So if you're looking for a great tasting way to add some more protein into your diet, make sure to click the link down below and use code NutritionLibrary to get $5 off of your order today. Or go to magicspoon.com/nutritionlibrary to snag this offer. Now, the second side effect that I was experiencing from taking Tongkat that caused me to stop taking it was joint pain. And this one actually took me a while to kind of figure out was actually from the Tongkat. I, at the time, was just thinking I'm training too hard and I'm pushing myself too hard in the gym. However, when I started to take more cycles off of Tongkat, I started to notice that my joint pain would also go away, and is what kind of tuned me into the fact that it was the Tongkat that was causing my joint pain and not my trips to the gym. Now, I used to think that this was largely because of Tongkat effects on the estrogen receptors, and preclinical trials, Tongkat did appear to be fairly effective and fairly potent at blocking estrogen receptors. And because estrogen is such a potent protector of joint health, it led me to believe that Tongkat was causing joint pain in a similar manner to things like tamoxifen that also block the estrogen receptor and also cause joint pain. However, more recent research seems to indicate that Tongkat does not have an effect on the estrogen receptor. Now, recent studies have demonstrated that Tongkat does not have an effect on gonadotropin output, which is something that you would expect to see if Tongkat was indeed blocking the estrogen receptor. And because of this has led me to believe that there's some other mechanism involved that is leading to joint pain, and has led me to believe it is because of some type of immune reaction related to conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis. Now, rheumatoid arthritis is a condition that is immune related, where the immune system gets overstimulated and tends to kind of act on joints in such a way that it causes joint pain. And because Tongkat has been shown to stimulate the immune system, it's entirely possible that Tongkat is causing joint pain secondarily to stimulating the immune system. And now, I personally, again, appear to be genetically susceptible to inflammatory conditions and autoimmune conditions, which is why I may have personally experienced this type of side effect, whereas some individuals don't. However, it is one of the primary reasons why I stopped taking Tongkat. Now, at first, I started to just simply cycle my intake of Tongkat, as well as some other herbs I was taking at the time, things like ashwagandha. I would take them for about a month and then take a couple weeks off and then take them for a month again. However, it did get to the point where I had to start only taking them a few times per week, and eventually got to the point where I just stopped taking them altogether. And then on top of this, it's also worth noting that I also got to a point where I didn't really feel like the benefits of Tongkat were actually outweighing the side effects. And what I mean by that is that the benefits weren't things that I felt like I needed anymore. My mood had improved, my energy levels had improved, my libido had improved, and this wasn't because of taking the herbs. It was largely because I was dialing in other aspects of my lifestyle. I was dialing in my diet, I was dialing in my exercise regimen, I was getting more sun, I was managing my stress levels better, and continuing to take these herbal supplements on top of an improved lifestyle was just getting too much to manage. Now, there were other side effects that I was experiencing, such as headaches and insomnia, that I was experiencing somewhat intermittently. However, another important thing to point out here is just how unspecified the actions of herbal supplements like Tongkat Ali are, as opposed to pharmaceuticals that are very specified in their actions, and because of that you can kind of predict the downstream effects and the side effect profiles of those pharmaceuticals. When it comes to herbal supplements, they're a whole lot less specified. They have several different mechanisms of action and work on several different pathways in the body, and oftentimes makes it very difficult to predict the downstream effects and predict the side effect profiles that are typical in individuals. And then furthermore, there just isn't a lot of long-term data on herbal supplements such as Tongkat Ali. I think the longest trials to date are up to 3 months in length, and so beyond that, we just really don't know the long-term consequences of taking herbal supplements like Tongkat Ali, and because of this, also led me to stop taking it. At the time, I had been taking it for years off and on, and the question mark of long-term use became so big that I just couldn't in good conscience continue to take it. And then furthermore, when it comes to long-term use, there's actually some evidence to suggest that Tongkat Ali is not even effective long-term. There's some recent data to suggest that yes, Tongkat Ali can increase testosterone in the short term, but in the long term tends to decrease back down to baseline, which means that if you're taking it for the purpose of increasing testosterone, that it's not a good long-term strategy. And historically, this is how cultures have traditionally looked at herbal supplements like Tongkat Ali, not as a long-term solution, but as a short-term solution to correct various symptoms that you might be experiencing while you actually address things that really matter, things like your diet, your sleep regimen, your exercise regimen, as well as your sun exposure and your stress management. But when you look at herbal supplements like Tongkat Ali as a long-term solution, it can tend to distract you from addressing the bigger things that matter, worrying about your specific timing of your dosage and when to split and how much to take, and always tweaking these measurements. It actually distracts you from addressing the lifestyle factors that actually have a bigger impact on your testosterone levels, your mood, and energy levels. Now, I'm not saying to not take Tongkat Ali. I do believe there are specific situations and scenarios where it is appropriate to try something like Tongkat Ali. For instance, if you're in your 30s or your 40s and you're experiencing symptoms of low testosterone, one, it's going to be important to actually get your blood tested to ensure that you're actually having symptoms of low testosterone. But if you do have low testosterone, Tongkat Ali might be a good approach to implement in order to kind of correct some of the symptoms of low testosterone while you dial in the rest of your lifestyle. Or if you're somebody who is going through a particularly stressful time in your life, Tongkat Ali can also be used to kind of help mitigate some of that temporary stress while, again, you correct some of your lifestyle factors in order to kind of either eliminate that stress or to deal with that stress better. I remember a few years ago when my son was born, our second child, I was taking Tongkat Ali because I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, and so it was improving my mood. It helped with a lack of sleep and was increasing energy levels. However, it was a short-term solution to a short-term problem. Or if you're someone like myself who has a history of PED use and has made the decision to go completely natural, taking something like Tongkat Ali might be a good idea to help mitigate some of the side effects of going natural again, and help to eliminate those symptoms while your body re-regulates testosterone production. So again, there are scenarios where it is appropriate to take Tongkat Ali. However, it's worth knowing and noting the drawbacks and the limitations of taking something like that. Now, I do have a free guide down in the description that outlines a whole bunch more supplements that can also be used to help increase and optimize testosterone production. So make sure to check that out down below if you haven't already, as well as all the other cool stuff that I am affiliated with. But other than that, I think I will see you guys next time.